just so you know, because
Okay.
it's super important that we had this conversation, and I'm sure you and I will get a chance sometime face to face to meet up down the road. I'm positive. But
Yeah, that'd be great.
so last night, I I finally put up that interview with me and Aaron, and Aaron is in Ireland, and he had reached out to me and um, basically was he had a mini stroke, and I kept in contact with him, and he's been training and competing. 5 months later, he had his first competition after his stroke. We have a little bit of a different story, but the reason I had put his story out so quickly or recently was because I had been getting a lot of emails lately
Mm.
of people who, hey, I've had a stroke. I'm wondering if I'm gonna ever be able to train again, and so after that YouTube video went up last night, literally you had chimed in and mentioned that
Yeah,
you had just had an accident, and that's
I did.
yeah. So today is January 29th, and you said you had it how long ago?
On the 4th of January.
Okay. So
Yeah, it's been
yeah. So what happened?
so. Well, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 14 years, 14, 15 years, somewhere around there, teaching and coaching. So it wasn't, and I was going against one of my best friends, Chris Coldiron, who's been doing jiu-jitsu for just as long. He's an instructor. He owns a gym. Um, I'm in the medical field myself. I'm an ERPA, so I know signs of strokes, but this kind of presented a little bit different, kind of out of the ordinary. And one of the things, kind of going into jiu-jitsu, I've always been concerned about vertebral and artery and carotid artery dissections. I've always knew it could potentially put the jiu-jitsu could be a risk factor in kind of dissecting those arteries, but I didn't know it would happen to me because it's somewhere around 1 in 100,000 people with a vertebral artery dissection. And the problem with dissections is you stroke after them. So that's what
Yeah,
happened to me.
that's what
So
happened to me.
I was going against my buddy Chris, and I was having a fantastic roll that day. I felt better than I have in months. I was trying to train. I was getting back into training. I started competing about 6 months ago, and went for a Darce choke. I defended, and then he switched it to kind of a cross collar gi choke from the bottom. I was going to pass into side control, but then I just started getting super dizzy. Yeah, so it wasn't the sense. It didn't feel like a regular blood choke where it takes seconds and then you all of a sudden feel dizzy. You feel yourself going out. No, I felt super uncoordinated,
Yeah.
spinning like so, super vertigo. So I was thinking in my head at the time. I'm like, all right, well, Chris is gonna finally get a good grip on the choke, and then just put me out, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Or he's going to notice my movements off. And that's what he did. I mean, we've been training years together, so he knew something wasn't right with my body, so he let go right away. I sat up. I face planted into the mat. Sat up again, face planted into the mat. And now Chris, he's thinking, oh, crap. Josh, he's out on his feet. He doesn't know where he's at. Let's put him on his back, raise his legs, just like we all do when people go out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was starting able to speak again, but I was still super dizzy. But about a week prior to this, I had the flu too. So come to find out, like after researching after the fact, that 15% of people with carotid artery dissections will have an infection before, and 22% of vertebral artery dissections will have an infection before. So I think it kind of predisposed me to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was on the mat, super dizzy. I was trying to rationalize to Chris. I'm like, dude, nah, it wasn't you. I'm just super dehydrated. And like the week prior, I was texting him back and forth. Dude, man, this flu is killing me. Da 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 da. I'll see you next week.
Yeah.
And then, so I think I kind of gave him a little bit more kind of reassurance it wasn't anything bad. But I mean, he's been around the game long enough that he kind of knew, and I could see it whenever I looked in his eyes. I mean, he said whenever I was looking at it, my eyes were just going two different directions, which would have been nuts to see. But yeah, I kind of was talking him down. No, I'm just dehydrated from the flu. My wife was right. I shouldn't have came today because I'm still recovering from my sickness. So I'm on the mat, on my back on the mat, and I'm like, just pull me so everybody can continue rolling. You never want to be that person that makes everybody else stop rolling. So I'm like, have me over to the side. I'm trying to scoot with my feet, and finally, on the side of the wall, I kind of halfway sit up, and one of the purple belts went across the street and got some Gatorade. And at this time, I'm just looking at the time. I'm like, all right, so I'm supposed to leave here at 8 so I can get home and tuck my kids into bed. But now it's like 8:15, 8:20. Hey, Chris, can you call my wife and let her know that she was right? I came too early. I got a dizzy spell after a choke was applied. And he calls her, and then about 10, 15 minutes later, I just start vomiting. And Chris calls her back. She's like, hey, the only way Josh is getting out of here is if I flew over my shoulder and bring him home. And she's just like, just call an ambulance.
Yeah.
So called an ambulance. I didn't go to my hospital just because part of me didn't want preferential treatment. Another part of me just didn't want my coworkers to see me half naked, you know?
Yeah.
So I went to another hospital, a stroke center, and as soon as I went in to the hospital, I was having double vision at this time as well. I seen someone that I knew that I used to work at a previous hospital with, and I was telling her, yeah, I think I'm just dehydrated. I got this dizzy spell, but I'm super dizzy, and it started right whenever the choke was applied. But I'm concerned it might be I was initially thinking of a carotid artery dissection because the choke, he had his cross-collar grip and fist was right in my carotid, but it was a gi, so I'm assuming the gi was putting pressure on my vertebral artery. And she's like, yeah, that's what I'm worried about too. So they called a stroke alert. And about 5-6 hours afterwards, after a bunch of medications, I was finally able to kind of stand up and not vomit all over the place. And a different doc came in to see me, and he had me get up, and I'm like, I do feel better, but still super nauseous, dizzy. How was the CT scans? And initially he was like, oh, the CT scans were perfectly normal. So I'm like, no stroke, no dissections. No, just follow up with your doc. This is probably viral from that infection. So he thought it was more peripheral vertigo. But the next day I kind of came home, and I was like, no, man, my dizziness this isn't like from like a virus. This is central vertigo. I'm concerned that this is coming from my brain or my neck, and because now I'm starting to get a lot more neck pain, a lot more headaches. So I call around to all my ER buddies that I work with. Hey, dude, yeah, this totally seems like central vertigo. So I'm consulting with everybody I know in the industry, and finally one of them, he's like, CT was okay. Man, it does sound like central vertigo. He's like, just go to your hospital and get an MRI, MRA. So that's what I did. And then I got there and got the MRI, MRA of the head and neck. And my buddy came in, closed the door right behind him. And I was like, crap. As soon as I seen him close the door, because I was like, I do that move. So he's like, yeah, you have a cerebellar infarct. And I start crying. I'm like, I had a stroke. Oh my gosh. There goes Jiu Jitsu. My wife's in the room. She's probably thinking about she's thinking of the family first. I'm thinking of Jiu Jitsu.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can tell you
Jiu Jitsu has been such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I can't compete again. I'm like bawling. And then a few minutes later, he's like, yeah, you have a dissection in your neck, just like you said. And then a few more minutes later, he comes in and he's like, yeah, I had the radiologist look at the CT scans from the other hospital, and it was there. It was, he just missed it.
Yeah, so I'm starting to hear from other people the same thing, that they are missing these dissections. I got an email yesterday, and the kid was walking around for about a week now, and they missed the dissection as well, and it was the same kind of similar story. I haven't spoken to him yet. I've just read emails, but I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because these dissections, even as an ER provider, sometimes they can. I mean, I'm kind of thinking in my head that I might have dissected a few days earlier.
Yeah.
And then the choke actually just made me stroke.
That's what I think. That's what happened to me. The doctor said, because what happens is, when you have that tear in the carotid, obviously, how do you repair it? Well, it clots, and it's a blood clot. And then, so when the dude had me in a chokehold, he had me on a chokehold north-south. So the majority of the pressure was coming on the other artery, the one that wasn't torn. So then the left one was looking, the one that was torn was looking for air, and then it shot the clot across to the brain.
Yeah. I like, to be honest, that choke wasn't that bad.
Right.
Like that he just had a really good grip, and there was a lot of pressure on the carotid, so maybe it was pressure on the other arteries to kind of perform, I guess.
Well, let me
shot the clot up from
that's
the back, but I don't know.
That could very well be it. And I'm going to say something also. You mentioned that you had flu-like symptoms prior to the accident, and that was before I had the accident. It was that Friday afternoon, that noon class I was taking, and that whole 3-4 days before, I felt like I had the flu. Like, I was tired, lethargic.
Yeah.
I felt dehydrated and drained, but I wasn't puking. I wasn't sick. It just felt like really bad allergies, to be honest. And I wasn't myself, but I wasn't totally dead. So of course I was going to continue to train, because that's just what we do, obviously. And so yeah, man. Looking back, I remember how I felt prior to, and hearing you talk about that you had a flu before. I mean, it doesn't sound like it still doesn't sound like yours could have been prevented. You know what I mean? You didn't really know.
I don't think so. Yeah, to be honest, I think the choke just, like, I dissected, and the stroke happened with the choke. And I mean, I was fortunate that I was with Chris, because he knows me so well that, like, if I was with someone else that didn't know how I rolled, would the choke been left on
right
a lot longer? Could it have sent a bigger clot to my brain? Could I have had a bigger stroke? Could I have died? I don't know. So I think things happen for a reason.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
like right now, yeah, from what I'm reading, and I mean, since this kind of all over the internet looking for people in my same position, and I've probably found a good 3 people that I've kind of texted or chat with in California and a couple other places, and not to mention other people that had strokes and dissections without the setting of jiu-jitsu. And a lot of the neurologists are releasing them back to unrestricted. As long as they don't have a genetic abnormality with their soft tissue diseases.
Right.
A lot of them are releasing them back to full time, but definitely trying to steer away us from jiu-jitsu, but
right.
Definitely, I know the Stanford neurologist that I talked to, they said, yeah, he should hang up competing, but go back to choke, go back to coaching, go back to rolling light. And I'm thinking in my head, obviously this lady doesn't know what jiu-jitsu is. I'm like, there's no rolling light.
Right. Well, and that's what I,
well, for me at least.
Yeah. And that's where we all have to kind of come to, realization of where are we going with this. For me, it's, my stroke was, August of 17. And similar to you, I was training with a more experienced partner. He let go of the choke because he knew something was wrong. But at that time, I was already paralyzed fully on my right side. I wasn't able to move. They knew something was wrong. And, at that point, I have a stint in my neck now. You know what I mean? So, so how I've been rolling since is, still aggressive, but still with my people. They know that I have this what's in my neck, and they, most of the guys that I roll with, a couple of them get my back, and they still kind of attack, but at the same time, if they get a clean shot on it, it's basically everybody throws up the flags and says, let's just move on and reset, and I'm okay with that. I've also made adjustments to, learning and teaching more of omoplatas and different, Kimura grips and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, now, but my biggest dilemma is I have kids. I have a 13 and a 9-year-old, and I also teach kids. So that has changed my outlook on the game as well, because, this, rear naked choke or any of these chokes, like they're really a force to be reckoned with. And I think we have to understand what the sensitivities of the carotids are, and with that comes a respect that, and we have to take out a lot of, the way that we play, especially with the kids. Like I don't let kids, rank on each other's necks. I mean, it's a concern of mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and kids should be no different than adults, because a lot of us have families, a lot of us, have jobs and careers, and my life has changed. I don't know about you, but I mean, other than the fact that I can't train as hard as I used to, I can't spell like I used to. So I got a Marquette University degree, and I've always been a wonderful writer, and now I have issues with spelling. Some days I can't spell anything, and it gets really frustrating trying to get the word as close as you can so that the computer can do the rest on the spell check. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. That's a damage to me. I am scared every time I get on the mat, because that time you feel dizzy, or you're going too hard, whatever it is, like you think about it. So but it was like I was telling Anna yesterday, if you're a surfer and you love to surf and it's your life, and it's what what makes you who you are. You get bit by a shark, but you survive. Are you going back in the water? I bet you most of these surfers do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And from what I've been reading, something like I think at the 3 to 5 year mark, only 2% of people will re-dissect. And I know, like a lot of it's knowing what caused the stroke. So the dissections is what what's causing these jiu-jitsu most of the time with these jiu-jitsu strokes.
Right.
And usually it takes from everything I'm reading, everybody is telling me it's like it takes about 3 to 6 months to heal that artery. And at the six month mark, if that artery's not healed, I mean, it should heal completely, but if it's not healed, it's not healed. So I think that's going to determine if I'm going to be able to kind of get back and roll, do a little bit. I don't want to be on the sidelines and just, all right, let me show you this move.
Yeah.
Let me show you that move. I want to be in the trenches with my guys and
I do.
sharpening their iron as well, you know?
I think you'll be able to find that role. You know what I mean? Like, I know you will. Because that's the thing about jiu-jitsu. It's you know, we all have to figure out ways to make our game adaptable. You know, so maybe that means, you know, being on top more so that guys can't get your head, or, you know, whatever your game is going to evolve into. I mean, if you lost both of your legs, you know, would you still want to play jiu-jitsu? My guess is you probably would try to figure out a way. You know what I mean? So I see these guys. I see these, you know, amputees on the mats, you know, competing. I've seen them in videos. So, you know, I think that we're all just going to have to, you know, adjust the way that we play. We could still be, you know, we could still have, you know, for me, I'm trying to work on my omoplata and my guard. You know, I just want a really good guard where guys can't get to my neck. You know what I'm saying? And I really want to be good with my omoplatas. You know, like a Clark Gracie type. You know, where I can hit them from all over the place, because then I'm not putting my people in danger. You know, I don't want to be just a rear naked choke specialist. You know what I mean? And same with the kids. Like my daughter, she just hit her first omoplata at 12 years old. I was super hyped about that. A couple of the 8-year-olds hit some omoplatas in competitions, and last time I checked, I'm in Wisconsin, but I've never seen academies playing with omoplatas for the kids. I think my gym, you know, since my accident, we've really embraced that. So I think that's kind of cool. But that's like the evolution. You know, will I go to other open mats throughout the state? I don't know, man. I haven't ventured out yet. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I know I have you know, whenever you walk into a new gym and you're a higher belt, you have a target on your back. You know what I mean?
And big time.
So, you know, I haven't gone down that route yet. You know, right now I'm just content with coaching, and you know, I haven't been competing, and you know, I competed. Competition wasn't, you know, everything to me. It was just a little bit of the jiu-jitsu equation. So for me to walk away from it and just focus more on the business and the coaching, it's been rewarding over the last couple of years, because I've been able to sit on the sidelines, you know, and at the same time, like that player coach, you know, like Pete Rose, you know, he's in there training with his guys, you know what I mean? But they're going out and competing and they're winning. That feels just as good to me as if it was myself. You know, it's almost more rewarding because you see how far they've come, and you know what you've been able to do to help. So, but yeah, man. So have you been back on the match yet?
No, not yet. I'm kind of waiting till my follow-up CT scan. Where I have my kids walking in the background. Yeah. It helps. My last one has cerebral palsy, so she's ataxic as well. I'm not as ataxic, but but my wife's been she's been a pro at this. Yeah, but I haven't been on the mat again yet. I think I'm gonna wait until.
Hey, how are you? Hi. Sorry, my video. Good, my video's broken, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, but haven't been back. I think whenever I get cleared, like they say my neck is healed. I think that's whenever I'll kind of get back. I might go whenever I start working. I'd probably go and just kind of sideline it and just watch people train too, and just be around that atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that I mean, just the jiu-jitsu atmosphere. I all my buddies are in jiu-jitsu, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's a lifestyle.
They've been very supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's so interesting because I kind of came up through Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu and American Kickboxing Academy with their Jiu Jitsu program under Dave Camarillo.
Uh-huh.
But Dave kind of split to go his own way. Half the people stayed with AK Checkmat, half of them went to Guerrilla, and it's so crazy because now I'm with Checkmat with my best friend. But it's so crazy that like the stroke, like everybody kind of came out and been shown their support. You know, like there's no teams. You know, there's no rivalries anymore. It's just everybody was just truly concerned about me, which was it's that community that I just love.
Yeah, I would assume that most of these guys in the community were pretty shocked as well when they heard about it. They probably didn't even know that this could happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, like, no, like, I mean, I've been doing it so long. My buddies have been doing it so long. They haven't heard of anybody and stroking from it. But it's out there. It's definitely out there once you start looking for it.
Yeah.
But that's one of my things though. Is like I think as an instructor now, and just knowing the signs to look out for, you know, because people are it's gonna happen to people. It's inevitable. It's gonna happen in jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't. By all means, I wouldn't have anybody kind of prevent anybody from putting their kids in jiu-jitsu, or wouldn't prevent anybody from going into jiu-jitsu. I think wrestling too, you know, I mean, wrestling has those aspects, but that lifestyle, it's such a positive for the life. So, I really, truly love the lifestyle, and I think that just the upper belts need to recognize the signs, recognize when to call an ambulance, you know.
Yeah, and it sounds like in your case they were able to successfully do that. And if you check out a couple of the other stories that I had, number one with Ray, and then number two with Jay. And both of those guys kind of had the same story as you know, a choke, kind of out of it, kind of like eyes goofy, not really making sense. And they put it off and went home, and it went a little bit too long for a couple of them. And I think that's where we really can, like you said, you know, as long as the instructors know what's up, this is happening. Because I talked to some high-end guys after this, like Braulio Estima, Patrick Baton, you know, who's Europe's first Caucasian black non-Brazilian black belt. And those guys all they never heard of it. They thought it was completely like, whoa, that's insane, that's impossible. But yeah, man, it's so if they don't know about it, then you know and it makes sense because you know a long time ago when jiu-jitsu started in 40s, 50s, and then through the 80s. You know, there wasn't a lot of people practicing it, but then when the UFC caught fire, now it's global. So, you know, the numbers go all the way up. So that the amount of chokes that are putting on human beings on a daily basis has increased dramatically over the last decade. So it does
and the
make
efficiency
sense.
doing it.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. So exactly. So well, thank you.
Definitely.
I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to interview, get your story out, because just like you said, it's important. And the only thing I believe that we can do is just make people aware. Just like you said, my kids are still practicing. I'm still practicing. You're going to still practice. And there is jiu-jitsu after a stroke, but let's just try to mitigate the number of occurrences that happens. So I think that we can do it by telling our stories.
I was talking to Leo Vieira after my stroke, and and he was telling me, and he didn't know the story, but hey, Alicia. Yeah, he didn't know the story, but he was telling me about this black belt instructor that he knows is paralyzed from the neck down.
Yeah.
And he still coaches. He still makes the lessons plans.
Yeah.
And like his wife actually does a move and will like demonstrate, but he actually does the lessons plans and he's a head coach.
Wow.
So I just think it's like jiu-jitsu. There's no getting. No matter what you do, you can't get jiu-jitsu out of the jiu-jitsu player, you know, or the jiu-jitsu fighter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, 100%.
And there's always a spin-off, and I'm just looking for my spin-off now, I guess.
Yeah. Are you on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
I am on Instagram under Marine Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay, cool.
And then I am Facebook, Joshua Vera. That's V as in Victor, ERA.
Okay.
Anybody that I did start a jiu-jitsu stroke page or jiu-jitsu dissection page. Anybody that you know of, you can refer them there too.
What is that website?
It's carotid and vertebral artery dissection in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
A group. So I'm the sole member because I started it like 2 days ago.
Okay.
But there was only one group, but I felt like it's nice to have people that know what your mentality is and know the mental struggle.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's one thing whenever they dissect their neck on a roller coaster. They go to a theme park like once every couple of years, but whenever you dissect your neck, doing something that you do every day, and you have to your mental,
it's a change.
The mentality around it. It's just like, we'll ever do it again. How can I do this again?
Yep.
But I think it'd be a good place for us all to kind of lean on everybody.
Let's get everybody in there for sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
No problem.
Well, cool, man. Well, we're definitely going to stay in touch, and I'm going to be in that group too. I'm going to get more guys in that group as these stories come to me.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah. Yeah, by all means. Yeah. I know I need it, and I think all these other people that are kind of just coming out, they're so scared that it's going to change their lifestyle that it'd be nice to see people that have been through it. Yeah.
Totally. All right, brother. Well, blessings, man. I'm so glad you're doing well. It seems like you're in a really positive place. There's no doubt in my mind you're going to excel through this, and you're going to be rolling, just like you pictured yourself until the day that you're 79, 89 years old. And
yeah. Yeah. One of my buddies, he's like 70 years old with a jiu-jitsu six-pack.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, that's my idol. I want to be that age. I want to be rolling.
No doubt. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Cool, man. Well, good talking to you, brother. I'll be in touch.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, I just hit you up on Facebook and everything, and when our story's out, I'm going to send it your way.
Yeah, if you're ever in Northern California, hit me up.
I will, man. I'm in Wisconsin, so I'll be coming out there to escape the weather one of these years.
All right, take care, Chris.
All right, brother. Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.